I like that the guys are the ones coming up with the share songs. That's
Yeah.
good.
Welcome to amorephillyunion, the podcast where we talk about the efficacy of the union's new and long overdue one hat trick per game policy. We are your hosts. I'm E.
I'm C.
And I'm Paul. Not many
Efficacy.
union podcasts are you going to hear the word efficacy.
Yeah,
I think we had non-Euclidean in one episode as
You
well.
did.
So
we did. I should say. Yeah.
I like to think we're helping the greater union soccer world and those studying for the SATs. And the crickets is the correct answer.
Well,
Okay.
We're just all excited to get ahead into the housekeeping part and find out where we at on our downloads.
Yeah, let's get into that. So, and our Help Us Help the You challenge, our goal to get 3,000 downloads, and then we will be making a donation to the Philadelphia Union Foundation. Our goal for 3,000, we are really close. We are currently at 2,954. That's 52 more downloads since last week. And we have 2 new international downloads. So we want to welcome our listeners from Norway and New Zealand. So,
Awesome.
yeah, welcome. Thanks
I wonder
for
if
joining us.
the New Zealand listeners looking for an inside scoop on Harriel and McGlynn because they're in the same group as the U.S. national team for the Olympics. We're not saying anything.
Yeah, I like how we're like an intelligence source.
I don't know
Or
about
scouting
intelligence.
Yeah. Someone's losing their job in New Zealand.
Sorry.
But yeah, once we reach our 3,000 downloads, we'll be making our donation to the Philadelphia Union Foundation. In the meantime, if you want to show them some love, you can just go over to their website, www.philadelphiaunionfoundation.org. Click on that nice big donate button and tell them a More Philly Union sent you. Okay, let's jump into last weekend's game. The Union hosted Nashville on Saturday.
Do a whole heaping helping of whoop ass.
Compliments of a one Daniel Gazdag.
Whoop ass goulash.
Oh God.
Chrissy just left. So
My Eastern
yeah,
European blood is just lurching at the screen right now. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Go.
so the Union kept up their impressive performance. Previously 5-1 against New England with Baribo getting a hat trick. Arguably, maybe from Paul's point of view, even better performance with the Nashville game, 3-0.
Yeah.
So the defense held, and all 3 goals were provided by another hat trick.
The Hungarian hammer.
Wait, Jesus. I'm sorry. Hold on. When did this become a faux WWE podcast? Because I never signed that contract.
No, I don't know. It could be fun seeing him dressed up in wrestling tights and running around doing something silly like that. Yeah, no.
Throwing
man.
cans of paprika out into the audience.
Can you smell what the Gazdag is cooking?
A luchador mask with the Hungarian flag
with
across
the
it.
green, white, and red. Oh, it's gonna look very Mexican though too. But
Nah,
hey,
well, whatever works, man.
it's a cross market
Yeah.
Promotion.
promotion. There we go. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting episode. Okay, so let's get into the game.
All right.
3-0 Union. These are 2 games in a row where if you could subtract the previous 8 weeks, they'd be like, yeah, this is on brand. But after making it through the desert of the past 8 or so weeks, 9, 10, these 2 games have been an absolute shot to the arm, at least from the fan point of view. So yeah, let's in terms of the lineup, it was very similar to the New England game.
Mhm.
Kind of one major difference was that Elliott was out and Lowe was in for this game.
to start the game.
Also of note, Baribo and Aura switched sides. So before, for the New England game, it was Baribo on left, Aura on the right, and that was reversed for this Nashville
They always
game.
switch as the game goes on. They don't really stay hardcore one side or the other up top. I will say that the weather for this game was beautiful. It was warm, but not sultry, disgustingly hot and humid. So they definitely showed up with some pep in their step and were playing hard from the beginning.
Yeah, and like the New England game, having Blake in net, it's hard to argue with facts. I feel like, I mean, psychologically, it was a boost having Blake back there, but even performance-wise, there were several saves in this game, which we'll get to. So, I don't know. And again, the curse of Union yards hopefully has not been broken.
Curtin made a mention in one of his press conferences at one point that, we were without Blake for a good stretch there. And, Curtin readily admits that keepers don't get the love, don't get the recognition that they deserve, because Blake to the Union is like Bawanga to his team and Lucho Acosta to Cincinnati. Like, he's an MVP quality player that we were doing without. Like, yeah, we have capable backups, but Blake is an MVP quality player. Like, while they never give the MVP award to a goalkeeper, he has won it 3 times. He has won the goalkeeper of the year award 3 times. And not having that level of a keeper is a big difference. Again, Semla, Rick, they did what they could, and they certainly were showing flashes of hopeful goodness. But yeah, there's just a world of difference when Blake's back there between the pipes.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you want to talk about the 3 goals? The 3 Gazdagian goals.
Yeah. Point out, none of them were penalty kicks.
Yes.
Yeah. No asterisks on this one.
Nope. And I believe that moves him up I think somebody was keeping track of actual Union goals scored, not penalty kicks. And while Gazdag, I don't think has reached the top of that. He's like number 3 or something like that on that all-time list too. So yeah, he keeps climbing up. So let's talk through them.
Even though we just came out of that 5-1 win against New England with the Nashville game, I was worried we were running the risk of scoring too soon, because that was in the 10th minute when Gazdag got that goal. And it was...
Block and Sullivan were credited with the
assist.
The assists. This was the one where Gazdag was up top, in the 6-yard box kind of. And I guess the one concern was he onside or not as the ball came across, and he was deemed to be onside, or at least not enough offside to warrant a VAR overturn or reversal. And Sullivan played the ball across, and because he wasn't the only one in there, I believe Baribo was also on that. If Gazdag hadn't made contact with it, Baribo was behind him a couple of yards, so somebody would have put it on frame, and that got it off to a really good start in the 10th minute.
And it was a cheeky little goal. It was just, he was in really close, and instead of trying to either just power through the keeper and maybe low and fast, he just chipped it right over that keeper. And that takes a bit of finesse to do that in that split second under that pressure. It was
finesse and confidence. Like we talked about last time. They picked up where they left off, playing confident in this game.
Like you said, they're playing in a way that they remember that, hey, this is supposed to be fun.
That Curtin actually said that in his post-game press conference. He's like, "Yeah, guys, got to remember soccer. I'll look up the exact quote, but something along the lines of soccer is fun again." Yeah.
Well, after this goal, the commentator said that they looked like the Union again.
Yes.
I tend to agree with that. And I, for one, did not necessarily worry about this being too early because we were in double digits.
Well, that's true.
I mean, it was still an early goal, but
Yeah.
it's
It
not
wasn't the
as-
second minute. It was
Yeah,
the 10th
exactly.
minute.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This
And
does not
Jurgen said,
qualify as
soccer is fun again for the guys, which is good to see. That was the quote.
Yeah. But I agree, Chrissy. When it's a single digit time and you score, then that's like, that's when the doctor is like pulling out your chart and he makes that little grimace look on his face, like, oh, that's not good. It's like, ooh, you did get a goal, but man, the time value is just a little lower than we want it to be. We got to get that time value up. But yeah, so that first goal was definitely a good way to start the game. We do have a slew of yellow cards in this first half. Well, actually, sorry, no, let me take that back. We did have a couple yellow cards in this first half. Aura got one, and that was for simulation.
Yeah, he went down a little light, and the referee
Kinda
gave him a
was.
card for it.
Yeah.
They only showed one replay, and at least from my eyes on the replay, it was hard to see. It did look like the Nashville player did maybe nick a trailing foot with Aura, but I still agree. Even if he did touch him, it went down. He went down pretty easy.
I think if he had stumbled and tried to keep playing, he might have actually got the call. It's one of those situations where if the referee knows you're trying to play it, and you can't, then you might get the call.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did seem to just, as soon as he got touched, just go down.
He needs to be more method in his acting. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and if we're talking about first half yellow cards, somehow, and also cementing status as a wild card, Lowe somehow got one in the second minute, which I don't even know. I don't even, maybe I just don't remember, but
I don't remember this either.
yeah, so
I remember him getting it very early. It was down the sideline. He had chased a guy out the side, and I believe he made a sliding tackle, cleared the ball out of bounds, and then cleared the guy out after, as he was doing it. And he didn't really argue too hard against the yellow card.
Yeah.
I will say Damian Lowe, though, in the second half, he did make some good plays. Like Nashville was a little bit off to the races coming into our 18, and Lowe did get there like in the nick of time, got a foot on the ball, broke up the play. So in that sense, the coin flip came up in our favor.
Yeah.
That was one of the good low points. TM.
That was a high-low point.
Okay, the second goal. The second Gazdag goal.
This was the one that was set up by Aura's pass.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Christy.
I was just going to say, but before we get to that real quick, there was a bit of a scary moment between the two goals where Blake was sitting on the field.
Yes.
For, I don't know the timestamp on it, but I just wrote in my notes, little scare with Andre sitting on the ground and medics.
That's right.
But he did get up and he kind of looked at the bench like, no, I'm good. It's okay. Like clearly he knew. Everybody was like, again.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so.
From one of the recaps I'm reading, it looks like was about the 35th minute.
Okay.
And yeah, watching from the seats, we were like, oh no, please no, please no.
Yeah. Not the flaps.
Oh God.
Oh, I guess
knee flaps. But I was hoping then, okay, well then let's just make sure that Blake doesn't take any more, dead ball plays or anything like that. And he may have taken a few after that, but a lot of them, Glesnes would take or Elliott would take. They let the defenders play a lot of the long balls after that scare.
Mm-hmm.
But he finished out the game, so obviously it wasn't too terrible.
Yeah, and there were no more scary moments that I saw, so hopefully that was. Yeah. Hopefully it's fine. But anyway, I'm sorry. So the second goal came shortly thereafter. Then, if that was the 35th minute.
Yeah.
Trying to remember how this play worked. I remember the pass was like a no-look last-minute pass through the last two defenders to get Danny, and that one he finished with a little more power to it.
Yeah, that was
from Ura. It was. I have mini rocket in my notes.
Yeah.
Actually, I wrote lovely mini rocket, but I don't really have more beyond that. So
there was a I think it was Sullivan who passed it up to Ora, who did with his back towards the goal, did a nice little cheeky. I use that word a lot in this game, but nice little cheeky heel pass to Gazdag, who was inside the box there, and then he kind of put a definitive shot on goal that went in.
Yeah, it was good to see Danny feeling good and making those runs. Sometimes it can be hard to make those runs when you never get those passes, and I guess they were feeling it then that night and finding each other well. And it was good to see Ora get another assist and Danny finish a play with authority.
Yeah, so the Union go into the first half 2-0, which is arguably both goals were in the takeoff and landing of the first half. I mean, it was close, 10 minutes into the start of the first half and 6 minutes away from the end of the first half. That's when the goals occurred. But still, 2-0 going to half. Yeah, couldn't ask for much more than that. Second half, it kind of just kept on. I really felt like the Union kept the momentum going in their favor in that second half. Nashville, didn't go down without a couple attempts, and I know Blake, even though it was a little nervous making the first half when he was down for a little bit, he had at least 2 clutch dive saves just to deflect the ball wide. And every time he dove for it, I'm just like, oh, please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt. we could afford to give up a goal. I'll allow that. Just don't get hurt.
Yeah, no, he played well. I would also say that a lot of the defensive success was from Jose Martinez. He was just all over Hani Mukhtar. Anytime Mukhtar looked like he was going to get the ball, there was a Union player, and oftentimes Martinez, in his face, pressuring him, pushing him. I don't know how Martinez did not end up with a yellow card in this game. He walked that line so well, kicking people just enough, but not enough to get the card. Getting in their face. I mean, there was a point there where Mukhtar was angry at Martinez, and Martinez just he's learned. He's just turns around and walks away. He's got that little smile on his face. He's like, I know I'm getting to him. I know I'm getting to him.
I'm under that skin. Yeah, there's definitely some Martinez attitude going on out there, which is very fun and entertaining and exciting to see. But at the same time, it's like it is playing with fire a little bit. It's like you got to keep it in check. Don't go too far.
Well, I think it helped that they were doing well and he was smiling rather than they were struggling and he was getting frustrated.
Yeah.
So one other person, I mean, obviously Martinez did a great job. And the other one that really stood out from watching that playing above where they normally play was Mbaizo. Curtin has said multiple times that when he's on, he could be playing in top flight leagues around the world. And in this game, Mbaizo really stepped it up. He was all over on the defensive side of the ball. Never really giving up many scary opportunities down that right hand side. But he was really active, getting upfield, getting involved in the attack. I know he didn't end up with any of the assists, but he was definitely a reason why the Union were able to attack up that right wing. He combined well with Bedoya, with Baribo, with Gazdag, even with Martinez and times. He really stood out in this game, more so than he has so far this season, I thought, and just did a fantastic job. That said, I mean, there were a lot of players on the field that had good games, I just thought Mbaizo really stepped up. I think Martinez really showed what the team was missing when he wasn't on. I think Blake showed what was missing when he wasn't on the field. Continues to show. And Curtin mentioned in his post game that the Union have only had Blake, Martinez, and Gazdag on for an entire game like 4 times this season, and they won 3 of those.
Wow.
So it speaks to the team when they have that spine, how dangerous they can be.
Well, that is true. It is that center line right down the middle of the field.
So in the 61st minute, we had some substitutions. First substitutions, I guess, including Sam Adeniran, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Who came in for Ura and Elliot in for Lowe. And Elliot immediately, literally same minute.
It was literally his first play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 61st minute came in, 61st minute yellow card.
Yeah. It was hysterical. I saw him going, they restarted the play. Nashville had the ball, and you just saw Elliot just going at the guy. And I was like, is he going to slow down? Is he going to slow down? He didn't slow down.
Just run on the field and just run right over a guy.
He went right through his back. I mean, the referee must have been looking at him and been like, Jack, what the heck? I got to.
Yeah. You're making my job too easy.
And I'm sure Curtin on the sideline was like, okay, Lowe got the yellow card in the 2nd minute. We'll sub him out now in the 60th minute and put Elliot in.
Yeah.
He's got 30 minutes to go. He won't get a card.
Yeah, guess what?
Worry about a red card issue. Yeah, not so much.
Hey, I'm telling you, he has swap places for sure now with Martinez. I think it's pretty blatant as far as like the yellow card magnet of the team. It's got to be, well, maybe Low a little bit too, but
I'm looking that up right now. Hold on. Most yellow cards. Okay, I feel like we should make this into a little bit of a game. I'll tell you right now, there are 4 players tied for the most yellow cards, but there's 2 asterisks for these of these 4 players. So let's see if you can guess who they are.
I believe last time we did this, Carranza was up there, but
and that's 1 asterisk because he's now grayed out because he's still listed, but he's not on the team. So that's 1 with the asterisk. So you got 1.
Well, it's got to be Martinez and Elliot.
It is not Martinez, which is it is Elliot, but he has another asterisk. He is the other asterisk, and that is he also has 1 red card.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, so I think he's leading possibly in terms of all cards.
I'm gonna have to go back through the game recaps and just count them up because I don't know that I trust these websites to keep track of it right.
I mean, I'm on the Union website.
Let's see. 4th, I would say, would be Wagner.
No. So we got Carranza.
Are we
got
out
Elliot.
of asterisks now? We're out of
Those are the asterisks. Carranza and Elliot's were the asterisks. Because the asterisk for Elliot was that he also has a red card on to boot.
Bedoya.
Bedoya's the 3rd one. And
what about Harriel?
Not Harriel.
Not Harriel.
But you're in the right.
McGlynn.
Not McGlynn.
Oh, dang.
Sullivan?
It's a defender. And you already said Elliot.
Lesnes?
No. You want me to tell you?
Low.
It's Low. Low has 5 yellow cards.
Of course it is. What am I saying?
5 yellow cards.
Yeah, we just talked about it. Duh.
But then there's a block of 4s. Gossack, Martinez, Wagner all have 4. Even more. Glesnes, Harriel, McGlynn, Sullivan, Ora all have 3. Flock has 2. Zemla's got 1. So welcome to the team. And that's kind of it for now. So we'll have to double check. We'll have to double check those numbers. But yeah, according to the Union website, that's where we're at. So Elliot does have more yellow and red cards than everybody, but also particularly more yellow cards than Martinez. And that's one to grow on.
That's one to grow on. All right.
Ding, ding, ding. Shooting star.
Back to the past.
The more you know.
Oh my God.
But yes, when Elliot came on, it was also the debut for Sam Adeniran.
There we go. Mm-hmm. Fresh from St. Louis.
Welcome to the team, Sam.
Yeah.
He looked good out there.
He did. He looked hungry.
Dangerous. He looked hungry. You're right. He looked big too. Like,
he is big.
Listed at 6'5" and 200 or something like that.
Something like that.
He definitely was a size up. Definitely, all of the players out there are pretty big on the center defense, and a lot of the attackers tend to be big. But yeah, Sam was an impressive specimen out there, and he was definitely playing with an edge. He wanted to prove that he deserved that spot.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I mean, he was.
So how do we feel about the reports of him maybe being a difficult player in the sense of he left St. Louis because he didn't get along well with someone or multiple someone's there, and he's been with quite a few teams in his relatively short career.
Yeah, I believe he was asked to like train on his own in St. Louis,
Nice.
which is never a good sign.
Does
But,
not play
you know,
well with others. Okay, got it.
Could fit in though with Philly,
I
depending.
was going to say, Carranza didn't fit in Miami, and we all
Right.
saw what he did.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes a player just needs a fresh start somewhere.
Right.
And where's the
You know,
freshest place to start other than Philadelphia?
We're so giving and so understanding as fans. Just as long as he keeps playing hard, though. I mean, like Dawkins had a great quote about Philadelphia fans. He's like, just something along the lines of you go out there and you just play as hard as you can. You let them know that you play as hard as you can, and the Philadelphia fans will love you. So, Sam, just keep playing hard. And you were doing that in this game. He had the ball. He had some pretty good hold up play. He was making runs. There's some communication issues. There were a point there where he and Raffaello were kind of drifting into the same spaces.
But he's new.
It's bound to happen. He had like three days of practice with the team. So
just got off the bus, man.
Yeah, seriously. And the price apparently was pretty attractive. It was a lot of the general allocation money that the Union gave up, like $150,000 this year, and there's some plans for future seasons that they're going to send some more of that over to St. Louis. But at the end of the day, it's money that if they don't spend, and it's gone to next year. So it's kind of funny money in MLS. And so it looks like it was possibly a really good piece of business from Ernst Tanner.
Yeah, and let's hope it's not a fire sale situation. I don't mean to denigrate the guy who just got here, but hopefully it was just not a good fit there and will be a good fit here. But a little nervous making, but
and a little sad that the Drexel Dragon is going to have to be behind somebody else on the depth chart, probably.
Yeah. Well.
Well, I mean, he's going to be behind Sam
against, now. I know. I'm just picking on the nothing against you, Donovan. Just picking on the Dragon part.
Yes, I know you are, and I'm sure if he's listened by now, he knows as well.
Yes.
But it will be interesting watching now.
A dinner run?
A dinner run. It's going to be interesting watching a dinner run play with that information about him possibly being a difficult player. And for me, just watching him play this past weekend, he looked hungry. He looked like he was trying to really make a good first showing. And, maybe if we keep seeing that on the field, that's a sign of, I'm a sucker for a redemption story. So maybe
absolutely.
He's turning himself around, and he'll really find a nice he'll find a home here and really kind of fit in well and get us a lot of goals.
Maybe it's a lot of sort of catty rumors too. So a grain of truth surrounded by lots of just whispers. So
yeah,
but anyway.
We can hope.
Yeah.
And maybe getting to learn under Bedoya will help him a bit.
Yeah, I think if anyone can help straighten somebody out.
So 75th minute, we had more substitutions. We had Bueno in for Flock and Ali first name basis only, like Cher from Quinn Sullivan.
If you could turn back time,
you believe in.
I like that the guys are the ones coming up with the Cher songs.
Yeah.
We're very secure in ourselves.
I have no problems with any of it. So I will say that the commentator said these were solid midfield players coming in to help them see out the result, which is code for park the bus. But truly, I think it was a good point.
Yeah.
So.
And
plus, they didn't quite park the bus.
Not quite parking the bus, no.
They still had one more stop to make.
Choo choo.
Chugga 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 chugga.
Well, one more sub, not to go through every single sub, but this one I'm mentioning for a minute, 87th minute, Martinez out and Raffaello in, but there were boos in the stadium, as Paul may have noticed more than we did at home.
Yeah, Martinez was playing so well. He wasn't on a yellow card.
Yeah,
Surprised. But at the
but
same point, it's good to see Rafa get some time.
yeah, but the boos there were apparently were because everybody wanted Cavan to come in,
Oh, well, yeah,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
that too.
and so they didn't get to see Cavan. So people are he's our Messi, I guess. So our mini Messi didn't get to come in this game, but
Not this one.
that's all right
He's got
because 2 minutes later,
goal number 3.
Dodge Dog decides to do it on his own.
Yeah, and he basically exploited a mistake by one of Nashville's defender, and he basically picked his pocket right there inside the goal box, and keeper came out. Gazdag juked around him, and he just took like 1 or 2 more steps to really line up the shot, almost to a nervous-making amount
Yeah.
of time. I'm like, dude, just shoot,
Yeah,
just
same.
shoot,
Mhm.
just shoot.
Mhm.
It was like gonna walk the ball in. But he delivered. Yeah.
Well, and that's because that's something that that doesn't work well to our favor or hasn't in the past necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to set up a shot perfectly, but I don't blame him. Mostly because it worked.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it hadn't, then he'd be hearing something else. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Union finished up that game 3-0. Defense stayed airtight. Blake made it through the whole game. He seemed all right afterwards to,
His first clean sheet of the season.
Was it really?
Really?
Mhm.
Wow.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
It was nice after the game. Obviously, Gazdag won man of the match for the hat trick.
Mm-hmm.
But when they did when they had the man of the match hit the drum, Gazdag was like, no. He went over and he got Blake, and they both took turns.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it was really cool of him to recognize Blake's contribution to the result. And it was neat to be able to see that on the field and see them get a chance to beat the drum, and the fans cheered them on and all. It was cool. It was really fun.
He seems to have a certain amount of humility to him.
Yes.
I've noticed that he doesn't. He does celebrate, of course, but he does not crow about things. He just sort of gets on with it, which is, I don't have anything against celebrations, but it's kind of refreshing to see from a player who's doing so well for us. So
It just quietly gets it done.
Yep. Very workmanlike attitude.
Yeah.
So.
But man, that finish of the first goal was cheeky, like Eric said
it was.
earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
a little chip shot over the keeper. That's a tough thing to do in that moment.
And as you mentioned, it's so nice to see him make these run and play goals too. Just in case there was any question.
Yeah.
I don't know that there was, but yeah. So.
Okay, so with that, man, I don't know. Any final thoughts on these 2 games in a row where we get hat tricks and win by at least 3 goals, 4 in the case of New England? Is this the beginning of the turnaround? Is this just a little bit of a blip?
It's nice to play some teams lower in the table and get a chance to reestablish yourself before this break that they're coming up on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought it was convincing, very authoritative. It was like what you wanted to see out of the Union. Now the question will be if they can keep it going.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Is this sustainable?
And of course, as they start to get momentum.
Yeah.
Well, at least they'll be playing for a while.
Yeah.
So
I just want to point out too, with these 2 wins in a row, the Union now shot from last place up to 10th, which just goes to show how tightly packed this part of the table is.
Yeah.
And we're only 1 point behind 9th place Atlanta. Like we said last episode, I think a successful season is solidly getting into the playoffs, not the playoffs to the playoffs, just lock into the playoffs.
Yep.
So not there yet, but we're moving in the right direction. Okay, well, kind of related to some of this stuff, there's been some interesting developments going on with the Sons of Ben and the upcoming Leagues Cup. I guess to maybe talk about some of this. Christy, do you want to take the reins on this?
Sure, I'll get started. Feel free to jump in. But the next match, Saturday, the 27th, as we record, it's against Charlotte. It's our first match of Leagues Cup. And the Sons of Ben have decided that essentially they're boycotting the Leagues Cup because they are upset about us not protesting, or excuse me, not participating in Open Cup. Not the only supporters club to do the supporters club to do this. One of 11 actually. So
Wow.
see
Do you know some of the other supporters?
I do. Yeah, so I'll say the team rather than
the team.
So FC Dallas, Austin FC, well, actually two of them for Austin. Chicago Fire, Minnesota United, Orlando City, another from Minnesota, two for Columbus Crew. Oh, actually a third from Minnesota. So yeah, lots of bad Minnesotans. Basically just kind of feeling that the official Sons of Ben statement is long. I won't get into all of it. But basically they will be supporting until the 20th minute, 10 second, and they will do the four-leaf clover song that they normally do, and then from there that's kind of it. They're not doing anything else. So they're encouraging their members to stay but sit or not cheer or leave the stadium entirely and watch from elsewhere.
I think I read them saying that to leave, and then they would have a watch party out like in the parking lot or something like that.
Yeah, they did mention Union Yards too, although one of the comments was like, well, if you're trying to stick it to management, maybe don't go to Union Yards. But yeah, so they will be not participating. That will be the end of their support for Leagues Cup. That's it. Sorry. Oh, and there will be no official Sons of Ben tailgates for any of the Leagues Cup matches.
Wow.
So
interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I was disappointed, as I've mentioned on here before, that they weren't that the union wasn't sending their first team to participate in Open Cup.
Yeah.
Because it was always a tournament that I enjoyed, that mix of sort of the first league and second league, if you will. Unofficial names there, but still kind of enjoyed that. And there's just the historic nature of the tournament. The Leagues Cup is, I don't know, it's fine. It's another tournament. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. It doesn't really appeal to me in any particular way. But yeah, I was a little surprised that they were still holding on to this.
Yeah,
to
this
be honest.
surprised me too.
Yeah. So not against it.
No,
I'm not sure how I feel about it, if I'm honest. But
I remember when you shared that post, I was also surprised. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize this was an issue at
Source
this point.
of contention.
I remember at the beginning of the season when MLS announced that the first teams were not going to be participating in Open Cup. I think we were kind of all in agreement on that one about being that was a bad move, or at least we didn't like it. But I guess in some respect, kudos to Sons of Ben and the other supporter clubs for having a longer memory than the three of us for remembering this thing. Yeah, I mean, all things being equal, I'd rather have us be in the Open Cup than Leagues Cup. So, but with that said, I did enjoy Leagues Cup last summer until the dawn of Messi. Well, more to point, Jordi Alba, but but still, yeah.
Holding on to Jordi Alba.
What's that?
Still holding on to Jordi Alba.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just I don't feel like the team is as overscheduled this season probably because we
Mhm.
did crash out of some things early
Yeah,
because
right.
we've had injuries, we've had other problems to
Yeah.
worry about. So it's, we have not been overscheduled, but we've still been suffering. So I guess, but that was one of the reasons they cited, congestion of the schedule. I think it would be nice if there could just be a break in the middle of the season rather than continuing to play. Truly, because I
Yeah,
believe in the earlier days, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, pod amorephillyunion.com. But I believe there was at least a 2 week sort of mid-season break. It's something, I don't know. Some of these guys just came back, so maybe they don't need, whatever. But it's just, it is a money grab in a lot of ways too. I
yeah.
don't think not sure that they expressly said that in their statement. Also, Sons of Ben, I know you have your branding and stuff, but you gotta make your statements more legible. You gotta. They're impossible to read. I had to find an article that listed it to read it because
Would I use a funky font for it?
it's a funky font with a big light blue and yellow frame and the Sons of Ben logo and everything else. It's just a branding nightmare and and communications nightmare, more like bless y'all, but really you want people to read your stuff, please, please, please make it a little easier. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what you guys think. I'm abstaining from an opinion right now, I guess. I agree mostly, but I don't know if I feel as strongly about it as they do.
I guess my feeling is I'm not that big on the Leagues Cup. I mean,
Yeah.
the top 3 teams from Leagues Cup do make it into the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So yeah, I guess there's something to play for there. But I still feel like I'd rather be in the US Open Cup because it's a
Yeah.
US Cup, whereas this is a manufactured competition
Yep.
between
Yep.
the MLS teams and Liga MX.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, the Mexican teams are in preseason form.
Yeah.
They just finished a Clausura in the spring. They're waiting for the Apertura to start in August, September, whenever those games kick off. So we're not really seeing these two sets of teams compete against each other in prime form. The MLS teams are arguably in prime form. They are in mid-season form, whereas the Mexican teams are not. And then when CONCACAF Champions Cup will happen in this fall, the Mexican teams are still in form because they're doing the Clausura second half of their season, and the MLS teams are just coming out of their preseason. So it feels like the Leagues Cup is kind of a makeup to the MLS sides because, hey, we know you'll never actually get to win the CONCACAF Champions Cup because it happens in the spring when none of your players are in condition for it. But hey, we'll make up this other cup that you can win. And yeah, that'll make you happy, and everybody will get a chance to make some more money over the summer. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with that. I think and there's a lot of, I would use another word, but to keep it clean, there's a lot of fluffery around the the rules.
I totally heard the word, so
good. Oh man, but yeah, just no, it was a big thing when I looked it up about the rules, like no ties. I'm like, oh God, here we go.
Oh yeah,
because
right.
Americans can't stand ties. So it's if there's a tie, each team gets 1 point, and then there's still a penalty shootout, and whoever wins the penalty shootout gets a second point. Hoo-wah! I'm like, okay, guys.
I kind of don't totally mind that in the sense of if they branded it as like, hey, we're just playing around with some new concepts, some new formats. Like, I kind of appreciate that a little bit, like playing around with it, because it's just this little throwaway tournament. But on the flip side, Paul and actually Christy, you both said it, there's this kind of a hollow money grab feel to this whole thing. It's the whole like Spaceballs 2, the quest for more money, right? It's just, Leagues Cup tournament. How much can we squeeze out of our fans? And it's just kind of like, oh, P.S. and Messi might be there. It's like, oh, come on, man. Like, yeah, it does feel hollow and what was the word used, Paul? Just fabricated. Just this total,
Yeah.
yeah.
And as far as the Sons of Ben taking a stand on it, whatever. I mean, at this point, okay, but I mean, they tried taking a stand in the one game, and about the losing
The silence.
series and all that, and that kind of didn't really seem to have much of an impact on things. And I'm just afraid that they're showing themselves to be toothless too often.
I see.
And uh, you want to be taken serious as a supporter section, so make sure you're taken serious and that you actually have the clout that you think you have.
Yeah.
So,
Christy,
Well,
did it? Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
think that had the losing streak continued, I wonder if that would have caught on more.
I wonder.
But it was relatively second or so game after that they started that it stopped, and that game itself was a draw, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that was a draw.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it would have started to kind of catch on, but I agree with
you're
you.
probably right.
Yeah, I mean, but I agree with you that it does. I'm not sure. They say, oh, we've talked to the coach and the players and told them it's not about them. And it's like, well, that's fine. But according to the statement, a lot of season ticket holders are not going to this game either. I guess I believe it's only the first game that was included in our
the
package.
Charlotte game.
So, but that they're boycotting it as well and maybe not buying additional tickets, which great, fine. But I mean, yeah, I still, even all that said, all those sort of little footnotes, I agree with you. I'm just not sure that this is going to mean that much. But they aren't the only supporters group, so at least there's that too. So I don't, maybe it'll mean something to somebody, but
I give them credit for taking a stand.
yeah.
I question whether or not their stand is going to make any sort of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I worry about making a stand in such a way that might obviously demonstrate your lack of influence. So,
And yet, if you do nothing,
yeah,
then I don't know, if it's good for them or not.
I hear what you're saying, Paul, though, about potentially like cheapening their power and impact and lessening it. I don't know, maybe I'm not using the right word, but
it is that boy crying wolf thing. If you just do it all the time to no effect, then it's just like, well, then
do we even need to listen to you? Well, we'll see if it's noticeable. I definitely think that it's going to be a lesser attended game.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that since the game against Cruz Azul would be playing here in Subaru Park, I expect that to be predominantly Cruz Azul fans are going to show up. Like, one of the worst experiences I had at Subaru Park was when they played Club America, and it was like 80% Club America fans. That was not a fun one to be at.
Yeah.
So
I could see the Saturday's game, though, being also a bunch of casuals who don't necessarily know that it's not a league game.
Yeah.
I mean, we did that years ago before the union existed. Wandered into a midweek game in DC just because we wanted to go to a game, and it turned out it was an Open Cup game.
That's right.
So, but we were young in our fandom and didn't fully understand the breakdown. So,
well, I hope they have fun. And let's be honest,
absolutely,
crab fries at Subaru Park always taste great. So go enjoy the game, go enjoy the atmosphere, go have some tasty food, and hopefully the team will play well. I have a feeling that there's going to be a strong chance for Kevin Sullivan to get a decent amount of play time in this game. I have a feeling that Sam Adeniran will probably get a start if he's going to get one in the next couple of games. I could see that happening during this Leagues Cup run. I could see, Baribo and Gajda getting a little bit of a breather. I could see, some of the not secondary, but non-starters getting an opportunity here to get some minutes, which would be great for them.
The crab fries taste better when I take them from your kids, by the way.
Always, always. And there's no calories when they're in somebody else's bucket.
True.
That's right.
Good point.
All right. Was there any Olympic stuff to talk about
USA, USA.
or
Lost.
nothing?
Yeah.
Nothing? Okay. Um,
Christy mentioned it already. USA.
USA lost. So,
Yeah.
well, no. So as we record, which is Wednesday night, the first US match has been played with Harriel starting, McGlynn coming in as a sub. What'd you say, Paul? About 70 odd minutes in. We clearly didn't watch it. We were all busy adults, unfortunately. And no, we would have liked to, but time, space, continuum, and all that.
Yeah.
But US lost to France.
3-0. 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0. So, hey, let's see if they get out of group.
Could happen.
I mean,
New Zealand and Guinea, I believe, are the other two
Mhm.
teams in their group. So
I guess it's an at least they qualified year since this is the first time since 2008.
yep.
So, but no, truly, I mean, that sounds very bitter. Best wishes and good luck and all that to Harriel and McGlynn and the rest of the squad.
USA.
Prove us wrong.
well,
So.
in other soccer tournament news, it is Wednesday night, as Christy pointed out, as we were recording. The MLS All-Stars game happened this evening, and it ended not too long ago. And would you guys like to know the final score?
Yeah.
MLS All-Stars 1, Liga MX All-Stars 4.
USA. USA.
Yeah, so much for that off season. Or I
Look, was actually we went out to dinner last night, and on the way there, like, oh, the skills challenge is tonight. I was like, oh, great, that sounds like fun. Missed it last year. Let's check it out. And there was a little thing about trying to kind of do penalty kick-ish things and hit little targets and stuff like that. And Liga MX guys were doing it, and Busquets walked up and just whatever period of time, 25 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever it was, just stood there and just sort of lamely kicked the ball like he was kicking it to his kid in the backyard. Like, could not have cared less. And that was always like, okay, well,
yeah, there's
going to be no investment in this at all. And it's beneath him clearly, and at least in his mind. And it kind of just symbolized the whole thing to me. It's like, yeah, this isn't going to go well. And I lost interest shortly after the whole thing.
This doesn't matter, and I don't care. And that's what it definitely is body language. I remember he just kept shooting for the 110 in the upright corner, and he'd miss, and then miss, and then miss. And he just kept going for it. It's like, dude, it's not working. Go for something else. And he just, yeah. So, so 4-1 Liga MX All-Stars over MLS All-Stars.
For what that's worth.
Worth. And then in other MLS news, I guess it looks like there's some discussion about another expansion team in Indianapolis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
an expansion team, or are they going to promote Indianapolis, whatever the Indy 11 or whatever it is?
I think their USL team.
Yeah, they have a team in that MLS Next or USL League or whatever it is. I'm saying whatever way too much.
It's just talk about expansion to Indianapolis.
Okay.
So there's a longer article here on MLS's website. Teacher, I didn't read the assignment. TL, what was it?
TLDR.
TLDR.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it could be a really interesting position that would line them up for possible rivalries with Columbus, with Chicago, with St. Louis. It's kind of in that middle of those three teams and geographically. It could be fun.
Yeah. We had talked about this too. Who was it with? Was it with Gabe? Talking about expanding the league so that we had a whole separate. No, it was with Mark, our Red Bull buddy. basically that there would be like essentially two leagues, like a whole, like a national league and an American league, and and they would play all their games, and then they would meet, I guess, eventually in some sort of playoff or a final World
I
Series.
think if they keep expanding, it might come to that, because I mean, it's in some ways resembles that already.
Yeah.
Because there are certain teams we don't play for a couple of years, or once a year, or whatever. I mean,
we haven't
way
played
back when we
St.
first
Louis
started.
in 2 years.
Yeah, and I mean, when I first started paying more attention to this, which was before the union, but not a lot. Played every team played every team.
Yeah.
Once home, once away, and clearly it's changed quite a bit since then.
Yeah.
And there's that season creep, right? It kind of starts earlier every year.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the actual spring. Feels like it comes earlier every year and it extends longer into the fall. And that's obviously, it can't go on indefinitely or unchecked. So, well, we'll see. Sacramento still needs to get their team. Don Garber just saying.
Yep.
Yeah. So upcoming games, we got the Union's first League Cup match on Saturday against Charlotte. Maybe you feel like you want to attend. Maybe you don't. You want to support Sons of Ben? That's up to you. Oh, anything else? That's all we got here on our notes.
No, I think that's
USA.
it. USA. Yeah. Oh boy.
All right.
We allowed to wear red for that? I guess we're allowed to wear red for that.
I guess
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like a baby blue, I guess. But, or they're more like a royal blue, I guess, Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I meant for the Olympics, to support the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, sorry, it was a bad joke.
The first one on our podcast.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, you can check us out on our website, amorephillyunion.com, and you can join our conversation by sending us an email at pod@amorephillyunion.com. On Twitter, we are amorephillyu. Instagram, YouTube, and Threads, we are amorephillyunion. Not only are we on Spotify as a podcast, we are also on Spotify as a playlist, or I like to think soundtrack to our podcasts, and it's under same name, amorephillyunion. But look for the little music symbols on it, and that's how you know it's our playlist. Keep downloading our podcast wherever you get yours. Thanks internationally and everybody else is tuning in. We really appreciate those listens and downloads. Yeah, so thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of A More Philly Union. We are your hosts. I'm E.
I'm C.
And I'm Paul. Go Union.
Union.
Happy
The other
Martinez.
person.
Happy
The other
Martinez.
person
You go.
I just wanted to point out one other person that I
God.
thought did a really good job in this one was Mbaizo.
Start all over, Paul. Start all over.
Probably-
Let's do a clean start. You got it.